when do you think you would be able to branch out and do other things or smaller titles, whether it's Nintendo or not? Like, for example, because is it that it's a popular title that these games are doing well, or it's because it's Nintendo? Like, for example, could you do like a video on Misai and get as much as attention as you are with like Kirby or Mario or X, Y, and Z?
I always get this question a lot from people in chat, and I find it interesting because this is not I'm not trying to come off as offensive as this is part of my answer. So many people, except for the big boys, you know, they niche themselves into one thing. We're talking about Pokemon a lot. A lot of those guys are a niche within a niche, you know, with like the Then We Fight people, or let's talk about like Pokemon Let's Plays. You know, Nuzlocks are a niche. There's an expectation that these games are randomized, you know, and stepping outside of that boundary is like can be really hard. And I feel blessed to just have Nintendo. You know, like a lot of people that are like, I'm like an in-between size. There's like small creators. There's like the big boys. I feel like I'm like a weird kind of in-betweener where I'm some people's favorites, but I'm still a little more underground. You know, like a lot of people that like browse YouTube aren't going to know who I am. So I think the answer is probably, I think I'm comfy in Nintendo. I think, yeah, the company's kind of cringe, but I like the art they make, and I'm more of a retro guy to begin with anyway. I like the N64 to Wii era stuff, and I dip into a lot of that. I still have like a lot of ideas for those eras of things. My rule of thumb is if it's in Smash Bros, there's a chance, bar things like probably not Street Fighter, probably no of the fighting games. That's just not who I am. But like Persona, maybe, you know, that kind of has like a Nintendo overlap. I think it's really a gauge of demographics. You know, like Pikmin fans, I have never met someone that likes Pikmin. Actually, I have, that's a lie. But like most people that play Pikmin, they play Mario. You know, so it's like those things are going to naturally overlap in some capacity. Right? And if you play Mario, you probably like the Mario RPGs, you know? And if you like Mario and Pokemon, like Mario RPGs, you know? Kirby, like they're all Scrimblow Bimblows. You know, that's the title for them, like the little cartoon characters. But if I were to randomly just play like Dark Souls, I think it would do terribly. You know, if I ever wanted to get to that point though, I would need some sort of exit strategy. Like, okay, maybe I can, in that case, maybe I can focus a little bit more on Zelda and a little more grittier Nintendo IPs like Metroid, right? Metroid's Nintendo, but I don't think a lot of Nintendo fans today like Metroid because it's not like a cute, colorful Mario, Pikachu, Sonic character. You know, it's a little bit more adult, it's a little more gritty. So if I ever wanted to do Dark Souls, maybe I would start focusing more on Zelda, on Metroid, adopted like a more like mature gamer audience that like enjoys those things, and then go that path, you know? But I think for the time being, I like what I do. I think I'm granted so much freedom. I have a Donkey Kong video that I have planned. I want to do Zelda, you know, and I think with where I'm at, it's like why do I need to expand more? You know, like I'm perfectly chilling with where I'm at. I still have more frontiers to go in Nintendo. I've never made a Smash video yet. I would like to try Splatoon at some point. I've never even touched that series, but that's something that I think could fit in my repertoire. So I'm far from bored with what I've offered. You know, I believe.
You know what Smash Bros video you should make? So Smash Bros Brawl was made in 2000.
Masahiro Sakurai started.
And then it could be on the Space Emissary, but like the story mode of Space Emissary.
I do want to play Subspace. Yes. I do want to play like a Subspace Nuzlocke or something.
Yeah.
But I don't think people have done that.
And then you can be like, so the story of Space Emissary.
Yeah, the video starts off with Sakurai made Smash Bros. What was the original name for Smash? It was like the Dragon the Fighting Game or something like that. In 1995. Yeah, I'll just do like a whole history lesson before we get into it.
And then everyone immediately click off. Well, my thing is, what do you think? Because you said you worked for him. Alfred did, because he does a whole variety of content. I think he does Nintendo a lot, but he does do Sonic and stuff, and he did do other indie titles at some point. Why do you think it worked for him, where he could do whatever game he wants and he'll have audience?
So like I said, we'll call it the I guess for this little interview we'll call it the Corey Kenshin theory, where if you're big enough, you can kind of just do whatever you want, right? Because like it's interesting how if you're in you get to a size to where your name becomes a niche, you know, like there is very much so an Alpha Rad style of doing things where it's like Nintendo, but it's also like what's kind of the popular thing in the broad Nintendo space that could be shown in anime, such as I don't know, like what's the Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Death Note. Like a Pokemon fan probably has seen these things, you know. There's less of a risk. It's kind of like that side of the internet or Twitter or like Reddit or YouTube, like a general, you know, because I'm not just a Pokemon fan. I like things like Sopranos, you know, and I think he like kind of conquers that like niche where it's like very broad. Like I can see someone that enjoys everything that Alpha Red talks about, you know, whether it be Pokemon, Mario Party, Mario, Death Note. I like all those things. Marvel Rivals is like the hot new kind of like team-based shooter, but it's like more aligned with Overwatch, to where like, oh, I like colorful characters in my games, I'll watch that, versus like he's not making a Call of Duty video. He's not making a I don't know, Call of Duty video, you know. I couldn't think of another example.
Call of Duty video.
I'm not very acquainted with FPSs. So I think that's
Fortnite.
why he's able to do it. Also, he started with Smash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I think starting with Smash from a casual perspective is a great thing, because it kind of allows you to dip into like so many other Nintendo properties, right? Because it's like, well, I'm already comfortable with Sonic. I play Smash Bros, you know, like I'm already comfortable with Joker, Persona. I play Smash Bros, you know, which and those overlaps have varying degrees of success. I think it's also different for like competitive Smash Bros players, because that's like a different niche within itself. You know, you're watching that person for different reasons. But I think that's how he's able to do so many things. Same with like, I think like Point Crow's a great example. Shout out to Goat. Because he kind of like, you know, he made his stuff off of Zelda, but then kind of created this brand of doing like ridiculous streamer things that started with his Zelda and Mario stuff, and then it got to a point where he's like, yeah, I can do a whole stream of like me drinking water with chopsticks, and like that became a very successful thing because he became more associated with his own identity and doing ridiculous stream stuff rather than the games that he's playing.
Yeah.
So if you get big enough, you can kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's what I hear. It's like once you get big enough, you don't even have to do niches anymore. But it's like one it's how do you get the big part is what people ask. It's like how you finally get out of being a small YouTuber. What's considered a big YouTuber? So that's why everyone always wants to get up to 100K so that he could be able to do all these extra X, Y, and Z content, so they could stop being, let's say, a quote-unquote PokeTuber or X, Y, and Z.
I mean, I don't even think 100K is the benchmark. I think it's like, it's like multi-million, you know. I still know people that are like 1 million subs that like, you're not leaving your thing.
Oh my goodness.
You know. I would say like 1 million too, but I think if that's so suffocating for you, I mean, it's never too late or too early to change too. I would say if someone's at like, I don't know, my size and I was only doing one thing, I would still say like, you can change what you want to do. You just need to have an exit strategy. Like you can't just like one day be like, boom, I'm talking about Pokemon, but today I'm doing Sonic, baby, look out. Like you'd have to find some sort of transition, maybe upload a Sonic video every once in a while to like give people like the idea of like being comfortable with this, you know, like, hey, like this is something I'm doing, you know, like you better look out, like I'm gonna do it like once a month, and like say I upload weekly, do a Pokemon video every other week, every like for 3 weeks out of the month, and a Sonic video one, you know, maybe do the Sonic Fire Red ROM hack, try to find things that like collide the niches. Like I think it's not that one-to-one. I also think too, if people are small, this is, I guess I did because I rambled myself to this spot. This is my biggest pet peeve with small creators ever. people are like, oh, I'm too afraid of niching myself. Dog, you haven't even started yet. It's the equivalent of being like, oh, I don't want to get famous because like, how am I going to treat the famous life? It's like, you didn't make a song yet. You're worried about step 30. You're not even at step 1, and it's so suffocating for people. I'm like, why are you thinking about this? Like, it's like, worry about it when you get there. People thinking is the antithesis to creating. It is. I think I got to where I'm at by not thinking. I definitely strategized. I definitely planned. I definitely reflected. But like, I didn't let my thoughts inhibit my ideas. You know, I think like, again, people are way too afraid of failure, and I think like if you're worried about niching too much, you're wrong. Like you're actually, I don't like to think of life as life and correct and wrong. You know, I think there's like a nuance to it. I think that mentality is you're not going to get anywhere. I'm sorry, if that's like on the forefront of your mind, because you're worrying about step 20. You're not at step 1. Make a niche for yourself, and then see what if you fall in love with it. What if you never want to leave? And if you do want to leave, then adapt. You know, everyone's done it. I can name like 30 examples of people that like have adapted, left their niche, or like expanded. You know. It's just based on your ability to like get out of there. I was one of those people too. I don't mean this in a cruel way. I was someone that's like, I don't want to do Pokemon because I have so much more to offer. Blah 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 blah. Blah. You know, but I did it. Granted, it didn't last that long because shorts is what saved me. But I still went through with it. You know, and I think that's part of the reason why I got to where I'm at today. I was that ability to compromise my my integrity in such a way. Not like in a morally dubious way, but just kind of like, okay, like part of this job is like finding that 60-40 between like creatively making something that fulfills you and then just kind of like doing what's right from a business perspective.